That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 49 with Mike and Alex. Thank you guys for coming on to the podcast, taking a listen. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for listening at Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, and where all major podcasts are found. Of course, if you listen to this bad boy on Apple, go ahead, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. It's greatly appreciated and goes a long way here for Bad Weather Fans. All right, we are recording this episode after a Nets game, after a Knicks game on a Tuesday night. So if you're listening on a late Tuesday or Wednesday morning, give a little reference of where we're at. Warriors defeat the Knicks 114-106, while the Nets defeat the Kings 127-118. Nets on a 7-game winning streak. The Knicks come back home. Both games had fans in front of them, so there's a lot to get to here. All-star reserves named as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, Alex, how are you doing?
Very, very good. I mean, roller coaster evening for me, for the Knicks fans. You know, you went from the highest of the highs, laughing about the Porzingis is out for 2 games with his back injury now, and which is not funny when someone's in pain, but it's funny because the Knicks don't have to pay him a max contract, and everybody mocked them for it. And then, the rumor last night that they were shopping him now for trades, and then Julius Randle gets the All-Star nod, and we can hit 500. And of course, this is the game the Warriors decide, Wiseman can come back today, and he's healthy. And this Steph has his 1 game off where he wasn't feeling well. He missed the last game against the Hornets, and he came back today against the Knicks, of course, just in time. So, of course, that all goes down, and the Knicks, have some weird rotations down the stretch, which we'll get into in a little bit. And the Knicks blow the game. Well, they don't blow it, but they don't win it when they probably could have. And the game was there for them for the taking. Like the Warriors started off the fourth quarter like 0 for whatever. Neither the Knicks or the Warriors could hit a shot, and then they were only down like 6 when Steph came back in the game, and that's when you're like, all right, well, they still had a chance, but once Steph is out for that long extended time in the fourth quarter, this is your time that you have to get to a tie game at least, or within a point or something, and it was like, damn. But whatever. I don't know what you want to get to first, but
we'll get to the Knicks first. I mean, the Nets are on a 7-game winning streak. We'll talk about them. They played well. The Nets are beat up injury-wise, rotations. They're now playing guys in the second unit that weren't here, 2 weeks ago. But when you have superstar power and James Harden's playing great and Kyrie Irving's playing great, Nets can get away with things. They got a great performance from Bruce Brown, who was excellent, career high 29 points. Nets win their 7th straight game, played terrible defense for 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, played defense. When they want to play D, they can get stops. And when the Nets get 4 or 5 stops in a row, all of a sudden a game that's 3 or 4 points turns into 17 in a matter of seconds. That's what happens in these net games. It's they put a stretch of moments together where they play defense, and all of a sudden a game that's a 3 or 4 point game becomes a 7-point game, and it's over just like that. And the Nets are doing all this without Durant, which you just start thinking like, what is possible for them? But I do want to get to the Knicks, and I watched the end of the Knicks game after the Knicks game was over, put it on, and I was surprised by a couple of things. No Quickly, no Toppin, a lot of Derrick Rose, and TJ Gibson, and Taj Gibson, and it just felt like the 2014 Chicago Bulls on the court. But that was the Knicks down the stretch, and Curry had the big shot, the foul, and one, and then Thibs trying to get the review on the foul. But I had a tweet I wanted to put out. It was about the hips. I wanted to do a Shakira, the hips don't lie. Deleted the tweet, felt bad about it. No one would have noticed it anyway. But
nobody would have understood. Yeah.
No, I'm a fucking weirdo. Knicks get the loss, hung in there. Warriors get the W, and Knicks can't quite get to 500.
Yeah, that was frustrating. We thought we were gonna have the perfect day, the Porzingis news, the Randle All-Star, and then get to 500, and I'd be on the show right now. I'd be like bouncing off the walls. You know what I mean? Like, but
I do.
And but it's just they should have the Wolves, the Timberwolves being so bad with like the worst coach, Saunders, which was fired the second the game ended, and they gave an assistant coach a multi-year deal, like moments after the game. If
not
you're
on
doing
their team.
Yeah, and he's not even on their team. Exactly. And you knew that he was fired regardless after that game, which is kind of messed up.
I think they were waiting for the moment to fire him, and this was the perfect time. Not that the Knicks are
It's dirty.
It's not that the Knicks are like, oh, you lost to the Knicks. I don't think that narrative.
It was the way they lost.
Yeah. I just think it was they were looking for their out, and this was their out, and they had it and they executed it. Because when you're hiring a coach from another team, that doesn't just happen in the spur of the moment. You have something waiting in the wings.
Right. You don't say, here's a multi-year deal.
That's impossible. Come on.
At least have an intern come in for a couple of days and act like you didn't do it. Yeah, fake it.
No faking. They're like, we're Minnesota Timberwolves. Nobody cares. Let's just do this.
Right. And Towns is from Jersey, as everybody knows. And he was home with his dad, and he said he was like, I was eating pizza and I just saw an alert that the coach was hired. He was just like, you don't even tell your star player.
Dysfunction.
It's
dysfunctional
ridiculous.
Franchise.
Dysfunctional. Yeah, completely. But you know what? We'll go here from a little sidebar. Trading for Towns makes no sense for the Knicks. You're gonna have to give up RJ, Mitch, draft picks, and quickly, and then you have Towns, and you're like, wow, here we are. Now we're the Timberwolves of New York. If you can get him in a steal, obviously you can do it. But just with that contract and the amount of years left, it's just not. It's not logical. So
tough,
it's not even worth discussing.
It's so tough in the NBA to make this stuff work. It really is so complicated.
Yeah. But all right. So anyway, so in the Timberwolves game down the stretch, they're force feeding Thibs starts to force feed us Derrick Rose. And when the Knicks traded for Derrick Rose, I hit the wall. I hit the ceiling, whatever. I hit a wall. I hit a hard surface. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, we're trading for Derrick Rose. It wasn't about what they gave up, like we discussed a couple episodes ago. Because it's like, all right, you have second round pick and Dennis Smith Jr., who hasn't played. He can't get on the floor. He's actually starting for the Pistons, which is pretty crazy. But that's nothing. It's not for Derrick Rose. Like, okay, but he's a solid backup right now. But I was mad because I knew Thibs was going to force feed him down the stretch at some point. I'm like, this is going to happen. And everyone's like, no, you haven't paid attention to Rose over the last couple of years. He's changed. He's different. He's this, he's that. And he's a good player. And in that role that he was in the first couple of games, I was like, all right, you remember I came out, I was like, all right, I can deal with this kind of Derrick Rose, come in second, third quarter, give us a spark, mentor the young guys and whatever, but now the last two games, they've been forcing him down the stretch, and he's taking these wild layups. It becomes hero ball. He can't guard anybody, and it just becomes like the Knicks just become this offense like they were tonight, where it's like you're driving inside, everybody has the ball, driving inside it, and just begging for a foul, and you're like do all this crazy acrobatic stuff and begging for a foul, and then you're gonna get mad at the refs. And when you have no shooters on the floor, it's just like the whole thing is dysfunctional. And like you said, it's like when you have Taj and Derrick Rose on the floor, it's not 2014, it's not 2011. And in crunch time, this is a problem. And I know Mitch is hurt. Noel was playing well. I don't recall if it was foul trouble why he wasn't in there down the stretch. I need to look that up, but I didn't notice why. I don't recall why off the top of my head. But so down the stretch, you have Alfred, Rose, RJ, Randle, and Taj. Alfred I can deal with. He's a starting point guard. I'm not a big fan of his right now, but he's a starting point guard on the team. You got to give me. I know Burks stinks, and he's been terrible, but he's a shooter. You could put him out there, or Bullock. You got to have one of those out there, somebody who could stretch the floor, and where if the play breaks down, and you go in the paint for one of these wild layups, you can kick it out to somebody who can hit a three. That's not Julius Randle. You know what I mean? So because their Warriors are obviously collapsing on him, and now there's nobody around. So you got to give me somebody like that. You can't just force these guys down on us. And the Knicks were so lucky to win that Timberwolves game because of what was going on. And Towns missed a point blank jump shot or a hook shot in the, on the baseline where he would have taken the lead. And there was just I can't dictate the game to you, but there was so many moments where it's just what are we doing? Oh my God. There was that Bulls game a couple of weeks ago. I think you watched on a Wednesday right before we went on the show. And it was neither team wants to win. They were just trying to lose the game, and the Knicks ended up winning, which they never win those games. Good teams pull out those kind of shitty games, but it's just, he's being forced on us. And Toppin was on fire. He had this one transition. I'll send it to you later, Mike, where he blocked the layup, ran the floor down the baseline like a gazelle, and then he just caught this alley-oop with two hands, dunked it on the guy in traffic. And it was crazy. I was like, wow, if Toppin is this in the second half, the Knicks are a problem. I don't mean a problem like a title contender, but a problem. They're going to be scary in the playoffs. You're not going to want to face them, and quickly makes one mistake where he dribbles it off his foot, and the guy takes the ball, and it's a fast break, and he fouls him, and then he's benched. Toppin hits a three, benched. And now here we go. We got Taj and Derrick Rose down the stretch. It's just what are we doing here? I know Quickly didn't have a good game. Every time I say, why is Rose in the game down the stretch the last two games, I always have people on that follow me. They're like, well, Quickly wasn't having a good game. I don't care. Alfred wasn't having a good. Okay. Well, why is Derrick Rose, who's having a shitty game, in the game? Why isn't the starting point guard or our rookie phenom in the game? What do we what the I'm going to start cursing. Let me stop. But it's getting me mad because Thibs is doing a great job, but this is the one aspect of his coaching tenure here so far with the Knicks that has been a big question. And it's a really long rant and a really long answer to your question, but I had to get that out.
Well, let me play devil's advocate with you. You say this is the one part of what's that?
You are a Devil and a Devils fan, right? So you can
I don't care about hockey.
Yeah, no, who cares?
I mean, I guess if the Devils were there, I'd prefer.
You'd rather them win than others. Right?
But I don't. The only time I actually got into the Devils a little bit, I think it was like 95 or 96. My dad and I
won in 95. Yeah, after the Rangers won.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
shortened year. So I know some hockey. Yeah.
It was the same commute as going to a Nets game. Literally the same commute. Yeah, so I think we went to a game once. Couldn't anyway. Not important. No one cares.
Not important at all.
But I'll play devil's advocate with you, and I say, that's the one aspect of Thibs you don't like, but at the same time, he has to have a control of what he thinks is right, and that is dictating victories. So as frustrating as it might be, if he didn't have those tendencies and he didn't have the I don't know what the word I'm looking for is whatever his mindset is that he was looking for, they probably would have less wins if they were going off that route. Now, let me play devil's advocate to my devil's advocate. This would annoy me. This would legit annoy me.
If you were a Knicks fan. Yes.
Yeah. Toppin and quickly each 13 minutes, that would piss me off. That would annoy me.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing?
Eric Rose has 27 minutes and quickly has 13. That would get on my nerves. That especially the way that this night ended, that would annoy me. As a fan, when you're like, hey, because there's something juicy about a rookie, right?
Right.
It gives hope. It gives excitement. If I was watching that game and I saw that those guys got no minutes like that, that would piss me off.
And let's take the rookie part aside. Let's say they were just regular players and everybody's the same amount of years, the same amount of money, the same amount of everything in the fantasy land. Quickly and Toppin could knock down a three. Like they can knock it down. Like Toppin's not the best 3-point shooter, but he was hitting some threes and he can hit it. You know what I mean? He's got a crazy arc to his shot. It scratches the ceiling, but he can hit the shot. Quickly, he might miss. He's like, a John Starks kind of player where he might go 0 for 5, but then he's going to hit the next 6. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that kind of player where he's young, so it's okay. And like you got to let him play through his mistakes because eventually he's going to start looking over his shoulder. Every time he makes a mistake and turns it over, he's like, oh shit, here I come coming out. He's like, I'm getting pulled out of games when I'm crushing it, and I'm getting pulled out of games when I stink. Like what the hell is the point? Why am I working so hard? Why am I putting up jump shots after a game? Like I know Thibs obviously knows how quickly ticks a lot more than I do, obviously. But I'm just taking this from a basketball player's perspective. I played basketball my whole life. I watched basketball my whole life. I've been studied basketball my whole life. This is like my biggest hobby is basketball. And it's I just don't understand how this is motivating a player, how this is helping a player where there is no set goals. Like if you do X, Y, Z, you are going to get rewarded. He does X, Y, Z, and he's not rewarded for like a month. And now it's like he's getting into this weird, like last couple of games, a weird rookie wall stretch, you want to call it. And there's no end in sight because you don't know, even if he goes up and fills it up for 25 to the next game, whoever they play, off the top of my head, I can't remember. It doesn't matter because it's not going to get rewarded with more minutes. It's just like there's got to be some kind of incentive to good play, especially with rookies, especially guys that are actually going to be here in a couple of years. But that's what goes back to my original point months ago, where it's like we're hiring an old coach, which he's fine. He's not Fizdale. He's not Derek Fisher type kind of a coach.
No, he's a legit coach.
He's a good coach, and they're obviously playing. They're obviously looking like a professional basketball team, but like. Right. He's 64 years old. Is he gonna be here when Toppin and Quickly are the men or the faces of the team as we hope they will be, or RJ Barrett? No.
Well, it seems to be a trend that I've noticed with all the Knicks losses that get on your nerves. It's they're in these games and they're winning games with the guys that aren't the ones that aren't going to be the part of the face of the future, like Rose. Gibson, they're not part of this future.
No,
the guys that are the future are Robinson, who's hurt if he resigns or whatever.
Yeah,
Quickly, Toppin, whoever the 2 draft picks are they get next year in Dallas, in New York, in their own lottery or not lottery, whatever pick they end up being, and the Mavs pick whatever it ends up being. The RJ Barrett, obviously, of course, these are the guys you want to see progress from.
Right.
Theo Pinson, who's part of the long term.
Of course.
But
I think Noel also could be on the team a couple of years. He's the kind of guy who could be a backup center.
But it's not
whatever. But he's not like the face of the team. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Gibbs and then Randle, of course, as an all-star. What that future is an interesting one. But when you see guys that aren't going to be there long term and they're in these games versus the Warriors, and it's like, I hate to say it, but in the scheme of everything, Knicks versus Warriors in 3 months from now will be lost. But if it was Knicks versus Warriors and Quickly and Toppin got minutes, you'd feel like some juice moving forward. But in this moment, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, who cares?
Yeah. Like, well, no, I mean, I care, but it's like this loss was like a waste of a loss because it's like you didn't go down with the guys that are going to be here and the guys who are the vets, the kids and the vets kind of thing, which is not the same like last year, but it's kind of like the guys that they went down with are also guys that are not going to be here, like you said. So it's like if we lose, and like if Alfred, Rose, and Quickly are all having bad games, I want to close with Quickly. You know what I mean? Like I want to close it quickly because it's like, all right, well, let's see if this kid can figure it out. And he's got the best jump shot out of the three. He can knock it down. It'll at least make the defense be honest and stretch it out, stretch the floor where it's like somebody drives inside. They're not like, okay, whatever. It's just Derrick Rose. He can't shoot. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
So
it's just like, do some
I'm trying to like be sympathetic.
And this is not a knock on Derrick Rose. He's been very good. It's not his fault. You know what I mean? He's been good. So don't get me wrong there.
I'm trying to be sympathetic to you and understand where you're coming from because I think that's important in like the mindset of where you are. And I remember the Nets 3 years ago when they were the team that made the playoffs as the 6th seed. And there would be moments where D'Angelo Russell did not get in the fourth quarter. They wouldn't go to him. They would go to other guys. But it was like they went to LeVert. They went to Dinwiddie. So it was players that were – it was younger players that you knew were part of the future.
Right.
So it wasn't like they were going to other guys that were like, they're not going to be here. So even though Russell wasn't there, it was young players that were getting the minutes. So I was frustrated by Russell not being there, but then I was like, all right, well, Dinwiddie's this G League project that's become a decent player, and LeVert's another young player that I feel can be a budding star. So it was.
Wasn't like they're going to Devin Harris or something, like
right?
On the bench.
Exactly. So I felt okay about it, even though they weren't playing at the time, which was their best player in D'Angelo Russell.
Right. No, and that's the thing. It's just it gets frustrating, and you nailed it. I mean, it's what it is. If like we had, if Knox and Ntilikina were any good, I mean, I like Ntilikina. I think it's unfair how he's being benched, and like, I think he can serve a role on this team. He's not a star by any stretch of the imagination, but he can serve a role. But if Knox and Ntilikina had a pulse, and you went to them down the stretch, like you were saying, instead of like Quickly and Toppin, and they lost, I'd be like, all right, maybe these guys are figuring it out. They got close. Somebody was able to guard Steph for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know.
It's crazy they don't play at all. I mean, it is mind blowing. They have 0 minutes.
Knox at least had a shot this year. Like he got on the floor, played like 10, 12, 15 minutes a night. And he's stunned. He stinks, man. He's got talent, but he just something's missing there, man. And
that sucks.
We've talked about that, and it really stinks. And I like him. He's a good kid, but it's just I or a good guy. I don't want to call him a kid, but it's just like I don't understand why he's not as good as he seems he could be. You know what I mean? But Ntilikina also, like I'm saying, he could be a starter in the league for the next 10 years or like a role player in the league for the next 10 years because he's got that ability to be a defensive specialist. He's not he's not Gary Payton or something like that on defense, but could be like a Bruce Bowen, Posey, whoever these guys were in the 2000s that were like lockdown defenders. You know what I mean? That always go on teams that won.
That's interesting, Alex, because like I think a contending team could use somebody like a Frank Ntilikina that would be a solid guard off the bench that can guard somebody.
Like the Spurs, he'd be a perfect Spur. He's just like a Spur.
For example, I'll give an example. The Raptors or the 76ers need a guard to guard Kyrie Irving in the playoffs. Let's put Frank Ntilikina on Kyrie, disrupt him.
He's locked him up a couple times too in the past.
But what's weird is no, seriously. Like in my head,
I'm not joking.
It makes sense. But what value is there for Frank if he's not on the court? What are you getting in return? Is going to be
nothing.
A future second round pick. I mean, what
you
else?
Might as well just keep
nothing else.
Expire. Yeah, this is just what are you getting?
There's nothing. There's no value. None. Maybe Knox a little more because he's maybe a little because his body and a little younger. I guess, but I don't know.
Like really, he became a punchline really quickly, and that's fair. That's like it was unfair. And he's been in the league 4 years. He's had 4 coaches. and 3 regimes because he was drafted by Phil. Like, so it's just like
that
this
feels
kid
like
is set up to fail from
ago.
another country. You know what I mean? He doesn't know anything. He doesn't.
Phil. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just.
It's a good point.
Great. Yeah, he was drafted by Phil Jackson, and then Phil was they mutually parted ways. You know how they always do that, which means somebody got fired or quit, and they just don't want to say it. You know, I mean, we mutually parted ways.
I for him, I'm like, he needs a fresh start. I mean, just to at least see if he can stick in the league.
Yeah, no, I know, and I don't understand why he doesn't get a shot. Like, let him get out there for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing with like Elfrid Payton playing like James Harden or Derrick Rose? Is good. Derrick Rose is good in that role that he was in when the first couple of games where he comes in and the first, early second, mid third, early fourth, and he's like crushes it for a little bit with the second unit, gets everybody excited. Maybe if he gets hot, you give him a little bit more minutes, but like he's not the guy that needs to be the primary ball handler in the last 4 minutes of a close game versus the freaking Warriors guarding Steph Curry. Like, Steph Curry gets around on the screen and they switch to Taj and there's a foul on Taj and everybody goes crazy. Like, how can they call that foul? I'm like, well, how can you have Derrick Rose guarding Steph Curry? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like that kind of stuff is just, yes, the refs didn't help us, but the Knicks, us, as a fans, I'm part of the team.
I saw those calls. They're going to call that.
They're going to call it. Steph Curry, of course.
But they're going to call that.
He was late. It's just. I can't. I'm repeating myself.
Yeah, I get it. I hear the frustration in your voice. Well, we'll transition to a positive Knick news. Julius Randle named an All-Star, and I know it's your mission in life to make sure that Kristaps Porzingis is a failure. No, that's harsh.
Who were the last 3 Knicks All-Stars? No, that's not the question. Who were the last 4 Knicks All-Stars?
Ever?
No, since before. Let me make sure I get this
before
right.
Randall?
Yeah.
Man, I'm not a Knicks fan, so this is gonna be harder for me.
They said it the other day, and I looked it up, and I forgot who it was.
Did it make sense? But what's the first one? How far back are we going?
So we'll go back. Let's see. Wait, let me count.
Is the first one like Patrick Ewing, or is there something?
No. Hold on. Let me double check This is really terrible. This is terrible podcasting. But let me just get this together.
So Carmelo is an All-Star,
of course. So that one's easy.
Amari is probably an All-Star, right?
That's 2. Yep. And then you have 2 more. One is more
Jeremy
recent.
Lin was an All-Star, right? Yeah, of course. Sorry, busting your balls.
I know.
One after him.
There was one before the Melo Amari years, and then there was one after the Melo Amari years.
I'm sure every Knicks fan's listening going, you don't remember blah, blah, blah.
Well, there's 3. Actually, there was 3. There was one. Okay, so there was one before the Melo Amari years. There was one with the Melo Amari years, and there was one after the Melo Amari year.
Was Billups an All-Star?
No, he was not.
Tyson
You're going to kick
Chandler?
yourself for that one. That one, yeah, Tyson Chandler. So you got that one. That's one.
And the 4th was before, and
there was another one after. I don't know if I definitely botched the amount of numbers.
I am so confused. You're like, there's 4, but let me give you 86 guys. There was one. You didn't name Bernard King.
Okay, 5. There was 5. The last 5 All-Stars before Julius Randle. So you had one
Chandler.
after. Yeah, so you have Chandler, Melo, and Amari so far. So you have one before that era and one after.
Allen Houston.
I botched the question. Nope.
So after Allen Houston.
Yes.
I don't know. Who are they?
David Lee, and then Porzingis was after that.
Porzingis was an All-Star.
Yeah, and he didn't play because he got hurt right before the All-Star game.
Fluke injury.
Yes. Anyway, sorry I decided to derail the podcast with my terrible trivia question.
I just don't know. David Lee, I would not have gotten.
No, that's the catch, because that was he was a 2-time All-Star, man. Can you believe that? He had the All-Star with the Warriors. Yeah,
very good player.
Won a title with the Warriors too.
No, he was great for Golden State. I mean,
hindsight, they should have kept David Lee and not traded Amari Stoudemire. But in 2010, they had to make that move because you couldn't, clear cap space for 3 years to get a star and then end up with David Lee re-upping. you know? So, but the Knicks learned their lesson 2 years ago, and okay, we didn't get the top 2 stars, but let's just punt on the offseason. Now look where they are in such a better position.
So you got what you wanted. You got Julius Randle's an All-Star. That's exciting. And then Kristaps Porzingis, talk about, Alex, the trade rumors with him that you heard today.
Oh man, it was late last night. I was like passing out, and I was just like, on Twitter. My fiance was passed out, and I was just like looking at Twitter, about to pass out. And I see this story. I follow this one guy. He's a Mavs and Dolphins fan. For some reason, I follow him because of I don't remember why.
Natural fit.
Yeah, division rival of my football team and the Mavericks. I have a lot of beef with a lot of fans.
Yeah.
So he put up they got the Mavericks. I guess if you sign up for Bleacher Report alerts, they got an alert that Porzingis is on the market, and I'm like, what? And I was like, this isn't real. And I was searching them, I don't see it. Then I went on the Bleacher Report app, which I haven't opened in like years. And I open it up and I find it and I take a screenshot and I just type in like it just blew up. And everybody, it's just so funny. It's just I've become the Porzingis guy, and every time something happens with Porzingis, like people come to my account just to see what I said about it. Even Mo Moten, the guy, our boy Mo, he was on a couple episodes ago, the Raiders Bleacher Report writer, big Knicks fan. He he tweeted me. He's like, I came here for this, and you did not disappoint. You never do. Something like that.
Right.
So funny. But no, it's great. It's just so funny. It's just poetic justice. You know what I mean? It's just Randle's the All-Star. It's just so funny to me. And it just, you know how they're gonna do it, like they of the national media, not like you or the guys that we actually listen to, but on TV or whatever, they're gonna spin it into something, Oh, the Knicks still shouldn't have made the trade. They still could have gotten more. They still this. And, Julius Randle is a fluke all-star like Dana Barros or something. You know what I mean? They're going to say some kind of crap.
Dana Barros.
Yeah, man. That's my fluke all-star go-to. Did you know that he was an all-star? Yeah, he was an all-star for the Sixers that one year. He was a crazy three-point shooter. You remember him from the 90s?
Of course I remember what Dana Barros was. You know Richard Jefferson was never an all-star?
Really?
Never an all-star. He's one of him and
probably
Byron
had one
Scott.
or 2 years where he could have been. Like, there's probably only like 2 years where he could have been.
Yeah, he had a nice little, when it was Kid, Vince, and RJ. They had a nice stretch. Him and Byron Scott, never all-stars.
Byron Scott was never an all-star either?
But guys that were just very, very good NBA players.
I mean, that's the thing about all-stars, which is great, that it's such a small, what are the rosters? The roster's 12?
I think 12.
I think it's 12. And people are talking about upping it to 15, which I think I'll be okay with. But anything more than that would make it like, it's not an exciting thing. Like getting elected to the Pro Bowl in the NFL. It's just kind of like, hey, I started and this guy doesn't want to play. So you're a Pro Bowler.
Joke.
Yeah, it's just stupid. And it makes it, getting an all-star nod in the NBA is a really, really momentous occasion. It's really an honor. It really is like getting on the all-NBA team. It really is a great thing. And that's why it's like such a great deal that Julius Randle got it this year, because it's just, for him also, last year he went through hell. Fans were ripping him apart, and he had a rough season. He had a terrible coach, and Mike Miller stabilized things, but it was just a mess. And he during the pandemic, he just worked his ass off and just worked out and worked on his game, motivated by all the booze, didn't duck and hide and look to get traded and get out of town. He actually embraced the pressure, and now he's an all-star and he deserves it. And I don't know if you saw this, well, you probably didn't, you were watching the Nets game, but they surprised him during a timeout. All of a sudden, they just had his mom on the big screen saying, "Hey, Julius, congrats on I just want to say congrats." And all of a sudden, you just see him. He's just like he heard his mom's voice. Like you're in the garden, all of a sudden your mom's talking, and he's like tearing up or whatever. It was cool. It was a nice moment.
So I want to ask you, and then we'll talk a little Nets at the end of this. What was it like because the Nets game had 300 fans and. I'm sure, but all the people that listen to this, Net fans can't make noise. They're losers. But like 300 fans, it's good to see.
I mean, it's not a lot of people,
but there's not noise.
Needle and haystack.
Was there a
oh yeah, no, they were chanting MVP. They were chanting MVP for Julius Randle.
You could feel crowd. And I know the Knicks fans louder than every other NBA.
Of course, 3,000 fans for the Knicks is like 50,000 in most arenas. You know
what I mean?
That's
get
what
that.
It is.
Yeah, I think I was reading something. It was Bleacher Report or Yahoo. I can't remember, but they were saying every 3.6 Net fans equal a Knick fan. So if you do the math, everybody listening, you know what I'm saying. So you could feel a difference.
Yeah, but no, you definitely could. It was just nice because
seriously though.
Seriously, you can hear it and even Breen and Clyde, they kept saying, and I know they have to say that, but like I don't think I don't think Clyde would lie. I think Breen might embellish a little bit, be like, oh, and the fans, but like Clyde would be like, no, man, there's nobody here. Like, what are you talking about? Clyde's too old to give a crap. You know what I mean?
The Net game, they did that a little bit. They're like, oh, you could feel there's a different buzz in the air.
There's 300 people spread out, one per section.
I mean, how is that even? What?
How many sections are there at the Barclays Center? There's got to be, who knows? But like, you could have literally had 2 to 4 people per section.
Yeah, which is socially distanced.
Yeah, and that's safe, sure, but it's just like then it's like you're cheering and it's just
start the game though. Kyrie was going around the bowl and he was like waving to the fans, and it was like, the fans are back. And I'm like, Kyrie,
I see a fan.
Yeah, I've been having shit with, the Knicks fan isn't even, I'm not even worried about the Knicks fan anymore because it's just like, you're in your own world, we're in our own world.
Right.
The Celtic fans annoying me because they were giving me so much shit for all the Kyrie stuff. And now that he's come back and he's been just an all-star, there's the crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets.
It's definitely crickets. It's, I mean, for me, it's been crickets with me for the Nets because I was, hating on the Nets, not hating, but like angry about the Nets and how much praise they got for getting Durant, who was injured, and Kyrie, who's aloof. And earlier this season, you were going to see what the team was like with the two of them, and it wasn't that good. You know what I mean? I mean, when they were on the floor, they were fine, but they were a mess. Kyrie disappeared. It
wasn't going well.
So that's why they blew it up and got Harden. And then once they got Harden, and now you see Harden, like we always said, he lost 20 pounds in 2 days, and he just wants to play basketball now. Harden motivated with the two of them motivated. It's just like they're a super team, man. It's just, how can you hate? It's just, you just hope they lose in the playoffs. They're going to get a top 3 seed, and that's just all you can do. Like right now, it's just, there's no reason to hate as a Knicks fan on the Nets. It's just like, all right, well, like all this hate that I had 2 years ago or last year, whatever it was in 2019, it's just like, all right, well, that's kind of out the window now because my basketball logical mind is like, how can you be like, no, this team stinks? Like, it's just, they don't.
Harden tonight, 29 points, 14 assists, 11 rebounds. Is that it? His 6th career triple-double as a net, moving him to second all-time behind Jason Kidd's 61.
Seriously? Wow.
He has 6 triple-doubles in 19 games.
That's
he does rebound. No, I shouldn't say that. He's
a selfish rebounder.
Like he isn't like Westbrook. He had a little bit of a. I saw it on one play on a free throw
thing, by the way.
But for the most part, it was legit rebounds. And his chemistry with Bruce Brown on different layups has been great. The lob, he had a lob to Nick Claxton tonight, which was awesome to see. He had a couple of bad shots tonight, but you're going to take that with Harden.
Right.
He was great. And then Joe Harris, 5 for 9 from 3. I mean, the guy doesn't miss when he's open. It's remarkable.
And he's not just a three-point shooter. So
he's not just a three-point shooter, but he is shooting the 3 at a historic rate. He's at 52%. I mean, like he's a 69% free throw shooter, which is so strange.
That is.
He's a bad free throw shooter, but he is a top 3 NBA 3-point shooter, which is odd. I will say this, I'll give praise. The Kings, this Tyler Halliburton was tremendous. 23 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. That kid can play. He was great. He was given lobs.
Tyrese Halliburton?
Yes.
Just
say Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton. Excuse me. He was good. I'll say that. Like the Kings got a steal with him. He looked very good, and he gave the Nets fits the last 2 games.
And of course, only the Knicks passed on him. By the way, just only the Knicks. That's all. So it's already starting. I'm telling you, it's already.
No, but honestly, like I've seen him play. He's got a weird jumper, but it's good.
But he's long. He's got
he's going to be a player.
Yeah,
they got him and Fox. They got a little something there, but other than that, they can't defend. And the Nets turned it on when they had to and got the W.
The Kings have the longest playoff drought in the NBA. I think it's like 13 years or something crazy. Like haven't been to the playoffs since probably like Mike Bibby, right? I mean, it was 13 years ago. I mean, who the hell knows?
13 years ago would have been 08. I couldn't tell you what the 08 Kings looked like. The 2008 Kings? Ugh.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Hold on, let's see. Let me get this going.
Who was on the 08 Kings? Because that they were past their prime with their good team with Weber and Vlade and Bibby.
Let's see.
I couldn't tell you who was on the 08 Kings. That would be tough.
Did they make the playoffs? I mean, this is terrible podcasting. I should have been prepared for something like this.
In the moment,
whatever.
Kind of question.
Everybody hates me. I know.
No one hates you.
I'm not kidding. This sucks. I didn't get a good thing here. So anyway, you
looked up a hockey Kings. Did you do that again?
No, I just didn't get. I should have typed in Sacramento Kings history and then picked the year, and I messed up, and I just typed in Sacramento Kings, and I just blew the whole podcast, and we should start over. But
the Nets 21-12,
yes,
7-game win streak, and I'll talk about the West Coast trip for a smidge. Good win against Golden State, went in there, just destroyed them. The Kings win from before was a blowout. The Phoenix game to me was tremendous on the back-to-back, getting that victory. That was outstanding. Lakers, no Anthony Davis, no Dennis Schroeder. The Nets also are depleted by injuries too. So I want to make sure people know that. And then going in and defeating the Clippers. So there's always like a look to find what's wrong with the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they didn't have Anthony Davis. Oh, they got away with a call.
But it's
no, but it's always something.
No,
like
I know.
The Nets are missing Durant and some of their players.
The Nets are a great team.
At some point,
man.
what are you gonna?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're gonna win the championship. I'm just saying give them credit for going 5-0 on the West.
Right. They're winning the games.
I mean, that's hard.
They're not losing. Yeah, they're winning. So it's just like, what do you want them to do?
Right. Like teams go on West Coast trips that are good and they lose games. It's hard.
Right.
Like the Suns game to me to win on a back-to-back after being down 24 points the night before, getting a victory versus the Kings, then on a back-to-back being down, Kyrie didn't play that game and Harden carried him back. Like that to me was the win, man. And so now it's just
the Suns
keeping
are
up
good,
the energy
man.
and seeing what happens when Durant comes back.
Yeah.
What's that?
Sorry to cut you off. I said the Suns are good. They're going to break that playoff drought that
they're
have.
In the playoffs. Yeah,
the second longest playoff drought the Suns have. So that's going to be crazy. So I found that. So it was 2006 was the last Kings playoff.
So who was on that squad?
That was the Meta World Peace Ron Artest team. Remember, he was on that squad. He was ward number 93. It was like the weirdest couple of years of his career. They had like Kevin Martin, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Mike Bibby was a shell of himself, but he was still there.
Not jacked yet.
No, not jacked yet. Peja was still there. Wow, they still had some guys there. I don't know how much they played. I'm not looking up their minutes. Maybe they weren't as good, but like they had like Brad Miller and Bonzi Wells. That's a name. Jeez. Yeah.
So when does the schedule come out for the second half?
I don't know, but they were smart to not put together a full schedule,
especially with all the COVID stuff.
Yeah, you cancel a game. We'll figure it out later. We don't have all this time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I have to admit this. I'll give a little true story here, and I texted you about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know the schedule because the second half of the schedule's not out yet, but the CBS Sports app that I was using, it cut off the Nets 4 games before the actual schedule was supposed to come out. So I didn't know like the Nets were even playing these games. So when I was texting back and forth with you, I was like, when does the schedule come out for the games this week? And you're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, never mind. Figured it out.
Now I remember
CBS Sports app didn't have the games. So I always go there just to know like my week ahead. You look like, what's my Tuesday going to look like? What's my Friday going to look like? You want to know, right? It was blank. It confused me.
Yeah, that is strange. I don't know, but it definitely was smart. I mean, the NFL got their season in and they had a couple of weird games where the Broncos had a wide receiver, starting quarterback or whatever, but it was a legit season. You know what I mean? Like it was no like, what are we going to do? But it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's just a weird year, but at least we had some light at the end of the tunnel. Things are getting better. Fans are starting to get it back in the arenas. The restaurants are getting higher capacities as the months go by, because if they wouldn't be opening up the arenas and getting the restaurants opened with more people in it, if they didn't know that things were coming, that there's a cavalry coming and something's going to happen that's going to make everything even better. It's just my opinion. There's no sources or, I'm not getting political. It's just my opinion. I think vaccines are coming and there's a lot more that are coming, and it's just going to be like, everybody's going to be fine. By the end of this year, we're going to be totally fine. It's just my opinion. And that's why you read the tea leaves. Like if Cuomo has been the craziest one of like, nobody's allowed inside. Nobody. Jersey, same thing. Nobody. And now all of a sudden it's like, like, 5% of the people got vaccinated or whatever the percentage is. It's not a lot. And it's just like, yeah, right.
It just sounds so good to have. I know. It'll be so much fun.
Next football season, we can like go out to a bar and watch a game.
Yeah.
Go to a game. Yeah,
tailgate. It does get me thinking, what are the playoffs going to be like in the NBA?
Oh, yeah.
So much unknown. I hope there's fans.
No, Knicks Nets first round. The Nets home game is going to be like a Knicks home game. That's gonna
I was looking at the schedule, and this will come back to bite me in the ass, but I would not schedule. I was looking at the standings. I was trying to figure it out because the East is so weird. Like,
they're so close. All these teams are so close.
They're all close, but like the Raptors is the 5 seed at 16 and 16. They're playing really good basketball right now.
Yeah, they're going to be fine. The Celtics are going to be fine too. They're rising, right?
The Heat are 14 and 17. They would be right now the 10 seed, but I wouldn't want anything to do with the Heat in the first round.
No. Yeah. No.
Like as a Nets fan, I don't want to see the Knicks because of everything that it would induce in my anxiety. But from
you want an easy first round.
But from a realistic basketball standpoint, I'd rather see the Knicks than the Heat any day of the week.
The Heat were in the finals.
Right.
I mean, that's probably why they started off slow, because they were in the finals and they finished their season like a month before they started training camp, and they didn't even get a championship out of it. That's like such a mental fuck. Like I don't know how anybody to put it, where it's like you go through all this crap in the bubble and you get to the finals and this big thing and then you lose. And then it's just like, now it's like, all right, well, here's the next season. You're just like, do we really have to do this yet? You know what I mean? Like, and now, they're coming. They're going to be fine. I don't know. Who would you rather have, Tyler Herro or RJ Barrett in the future? Who would you rather have? That's always a big debate because it's always, for some reason, I don't know why.
I mean, I don't know. That's an impossible question.
I mean, answer.
I guess Hero. I mean, he's proven on the biggest stage to be better. If I had to pick between the two, but it doesn't mean I'm right, and I'm not confident about my answer.
No.
And I'm not saying that as like
either.
I'm not saying that as like a troll against Nick. Like I will say this. I've always said it. I will be fair and balanced and equal with the Knicks, and I will give my honest opinion. And I've said I think they're playing great. They're doing really well. I want to see them suck. I don't want to see him be good, but if I had to pick between the two, probably Hero. But he's also in a better, situation. He was, Spoelstra's a very good coach that was there last year. He's around a lot of he's around ultra talented guys, and Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, etc. So he's in a better position to succeed. So it doesn't mean that he's going to be better than RJ Barrett. But based on what we've seen in the small sample size, I'd have to take him as of now. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be right. But if I had to pick between the two, I'd take him. But it's not because I'm trying to shit on the Knicks. I'm not involved in that Twitter war crap. Like people on Twitter being like, look at Julius Randle. Shows he was better than Karis LeVert. And it's like, this is the conversations you're having this is the conversations you're having on the internet. Who cares?
Right. It's just a random player against a random player that just gets all of the attention.
Who cares? There's a guard. It's a forward. LeVert had a good season. Now he's hurt. Now Randall's having the All-Star season, and now he's next year it could, who knows? But it's like,
right.
Why is that even a conversation?
Stupid. No, it's very stupid. So let's talk about something that matters. How about this? How about the Wizards winning 5 in a row, bro? Like, how about that? Russell Westbrook, 2012 and 12 over the last 5 games. Oh, he's coming, man.
The Nets are done with him.
Yeah, that you're happy with that, right? Yeah, it's just, and they beat the Lakers, which is a nice win for them. And it's just beating the Lakers is a big deal. I'm just fucking with you, but it's just it's just. It just shows we are so instant reaction as a culture now because of the 24/7 news cycle. Like, oh, the Wizards are trash. And I mean, it might just be a rogue 5-game winning streak and they end up winning 15 games, 20 games this year, whatever. But I think that it shows this team needed a chance to learn who each other were. They didn't have a training camp, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So it's just the Knicks had the opportunity. I know they had some rookies in and they had a new coach, but they had a lot of guys that were here last year. They brought back Taj eventually, but they have Randall, RJ, Elfrid Payton, Bullock, these guys were all here already, so it's was easier for them to gel with a new coach and a couple new guys, which a normal roster turnover than it was for the Wizards, where it's you're dropping this Westbrook bomb on the team. It's and then you have the rookie Denny, and then you have it's just, there's a lot there. So it takes time to get together. You know what I mean?
There is an instant reaction of feeling high and feeling low. And I always try to tell myself, I'm not going to be the guy that gets too high and gets too low, but it's really difficult not to. And I'm looking now at the standings with the Wizards, Cavs, and Pistons are the worst 3 teams by record in the East. The Nets are 0-5 versus those 3 teams. What?
Yeah, I've heard that the Nets only beat the over 500 teams, which
is
crazy.
But they have
which is good for the playoffs, I guess.
They're 0-5 versus those 3.
So if the Nets play in the first round against a team that was a 10 seed that's under 500, they'll probably get swept in the first round.
They'll probably get swept. That to me is just bonker stats.
That's crazy.
And then the instant reaction, the Rockets now, they lost Harden. They've got chemistry. They're good. Houston's 11-18, have the second worst record.
And they released Cousins. They're
oh man, stars matter.
Cousins and Wall, Kentucky, but now it's which
stars matter.
DeMarcus Cousins is an interesting thing, maybe for both teams in New York, the Knicks or the Nets. The Knicks are without Mitchell Robinson, and a lot of people got on me a couple like last week when I'm like, well, Mitch Wright might be out for the season. I mean, I know he can come back and there's a couple weeks left and whatever, but it's just at that point, the NBA injury timetables are never legitimate. Like, I know this because of fantasy, obviously, but James Wiseman was supposed to be out about 6 to 7 days or 7 to 10 days. And he's out 3 weeks.
Teams lie.
Yeah, all the time. And it's just, of course, the first game he's back against the Knicks, but it's just there's always
that stuff happens all the time.
Oh, he'll be back at this
Stop
moment.
With this. That happens because it's the Knicks. That shit happens all the time.
I know. I'm just being dramatic.
Okay, thank you.
I understand. But it's just, because it's just that woe is me kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's just like,
thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it's true. I mean, it's just one of those like, of course moments.
No, I get you.
Mitchell Robinson, I don't even know how long he's out for exactly off the top of my head, but he's out a couple weeks and he's got hand surgery. And it's just like, you don't need to rush him back. I know it's his hand, it's not his leg, so he can still run and whatever. But the first couple of weeks, he can't run. He just had surgery. He's not going to be able to work out. You know what I mean? It's not like he's going to like, well, I got a surgery. I got to stay in shape. Let me get on the treadmill. Like he's in a hospital. Like relax.
I like Cousins more for
Cousins would fit for both. I think
I like him more for the Knicks, I think, than I do for the Nets, which might surprise people. But I think for the Knicks, getting depth at the center position is not a bad thing. And he's not going to be there for the long term, but if he's just someone there that can get
plug and play
20 minutes. For the Nets, I worry about him in the locker room and what it could do. It does worry me.
Right.
It does. I don't know.
Especially
the Nets right now actually have
but,
a good culture going on with that room right now. They'll like you. A 7-game winning streak will do that.
Right.
But it feels
you gave the superstars what they want. Why would you drop a Cousins bomb on the locker room?
Scares
for
me.
No reason. Yeah.
Scares
There's
me.
no reason. Yeah. There's no reason for it.
And the way he trashed Harden on the way out, which was deserving because he was like not trying, and Harden ripped him, and now you're going to put him back in that locker room. I always try to think, and people are like, they'll figure it out. But I was, think about you're in the workplace and, you have an employee that trashed you to the national media, and now he's coming to your new company and you've got to work with him. That's not easy. I'm sorry, it isn't. And imagine that it's not just you telling your wife or telling your brother about it, but it's him going on national media and telling millions of people, and now you have to have it watched over you. Difficult.
Yeah,
human beings, real people, that shit weighs on you.
And especially for a guy who's not that great of a player anymore. So it's just like, what's the point? You know what I mean? And you're winning games without him. It's just, we'll tread water until some buyouts come.
So I'm like, get JaVale McGee, who's just going to hustle, go up and down the court, get rebounds, block shots. And then if he doesn't play or something, JaVale McGee is just going to.
He knows his role.
Dissipate.
He knows his role.
Right.
Knows his role.
It's not going to bring, like some guys bring attention. Cousins will bring it. JaVale McGee will just go out there, block some shots, get some dunks, play his 12 minutes and be good with his role.
No, it's true. And Cousins, I don't know for sure if I'd even want him on the Knicks. It's just seeing Taj Gibson. I mean, he's good. He does. He had a really big rebound in the game down the stretch, like an offensive rebound that saved the game temporarily. But he's just Taj Gibson. You know what I mean? Like I like him a lot. He's a good player, but I don't know. And I don't think Cousins would be much better. But it's just to have another body there. You know what I mean? I don't really know. I haven't really given it much thought. I know it happened a couple of days ago when I was having debates with people, but on Twitter. But it's just I don't know, man. I think he's going to go to the Lakers. Everybody keeps saying that because he technically was on the Lakers last year. He didn't play, but he was there. So and they don't have AD, and he could just
feels right.
Yeah,
that feels right.
I don't know. Where is he from, by the way? Is he from out west or is he from? I don't even know where he's from. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna look it up. But
sure.
I don't know. It's just a weird feel right now for Cousins with the Knicks or the Nets. It just doesn't make any sense. But I don't think him and Harden would be that big of a deal. I know you were just saying you think it would. There's not worth the risk. I agree. But like, remember Cousins and Draymond, they got into fights before he was there. I know it wasn't like a month before he signed. Like they had time for it to cool down and be like, all right, whatever, let's do this. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. And Cousins didn't really play much. He was recovering from the Achilles that year and didn't really play at all.
I hear you.
So it's a little different situation. So whatever. I don't know.
What do you got? What do you got on the poll question front? This is episode 49.
Right.
What do you have on the poll question front? And then also, are there any jerseys that?
Yeah, let's do the jersey thing first.
Are there any net 49s?
There are no Nets 49s, but I'll go with a different route there. But first, there was one Nick number 49 in history.
No idea.
He was during the Isaiah era.
During the Shandon Anderson.
Nailed it, bro.
Oh!
Look at you. Holy crap. I was not excited. I was going to give you Utah Jazz. I was going down. I was going clues.
Wow. That was impressive.
Yeah,
wow.
that
How
was
did
really
I do
good.
that?
I don't know, man. You just pulled that. I think you just guessed a random Nick and it just happened to be that guy.
It felt right. I visualized him with that
weird number, right? It was like the weird number. You didn't know it was actually 49. You're just like
that's when you know I wasn't having any sex growing up. Holy shit. Seriously.
Shandon
Anderson and Mario Kart. Bam.
Bam. There you go. Okay, so there was no number 49, but since in honor of Bruce Brown, who you said was a hero of tonight, right, in the game?
He was great. 29 points, career high, yep. But played great defense, too. It wasn't just the points.
Okay, there was, this is an obscure number one. I don't know if this will work, but an obscure Nets number one played in the 04-05 season. He played a long time in the NBA. He bounced around different teams to the Celtics, the Bulls, the Magic, the...
Wait, hold on, because I was thinking about something else. Let me ask you this first. What was Chris Childs as the net?
He was number one. I didn't want to do that. That was too easy.
He was number one. So I did get that.
He was number one. I was going to do that because the Knicks.
Okay, but I want to make sure because I was like, I think Chris Childs was number one, but I don't know. It's been a while. Yeah. Okay, so say the teams he played for again.
So he played for the Celtics, the Nuggets, Magic, Bulls, Pacers, Spurs, and then finished his career with the Nets.
Yeah,
Which year? Wasn't very old. So he was like 28 in his last year with the Nets. Only played a handful of games. He went. I can give you some hints.
What was his last year?
His last year was in 2004-2005 season.
Okay, so 0-1-2, 2-3. So 4-5, they weren't. They had a little bit of a dip year, and they signed some random dudes.
42 and 40 that year. Yeah.
Yeah, they were a lower seed. They traded for Vince in the middle. They traded for Vince in the.
He went to Kentucky College.
Jeez, I should know this. He went to Kentucky. Who is it?
Well, you want more hints?
Sure, more hints. But I'm embarrassing myself. How do I know?
No, you're not. Anderson? This is a hard one. He only played 18 games for the Nets. He started 3 games though, so that's kind of maybe you might get it because he did start.
Yeah, but this is a game Dolan Trump would get because he's like he was a legit like. I will say this. I feel like I know Nets history from the last 20 years.
Right.
He knows it better than me. I'll admit it. He does.
He was getting some. I don't even remember what we asked last week, but he was getting some things.
He's a true Nets fan, and he'll listen to this.
He's a Knicks fan now, so
I mean, he says he is, but who really knows?
Right. Well, he was actually on the all-rookie team. This player, number one on the Nets.
Wait a minute, I thought you said it was the end of his career was with
at the end of the career he was with the Nets, but I'm saying he made the all-rookie team when he was a rookie with the Celtics, and he went to Kentucky.
Ron Mercer.
Got it. There you go. See, there you go. I knew the Celtics thing would the Celtics in Kentucky.
Well, the all rookie thing is the Ron Mercer. It took a while. He killed the Nets when he was on the Pacers in that first round series. He was
a really?
Player, Ron Mercer.
He was good. He was out of the NBA at 28 for some reason. Why? Did he get hurt or something? I don't know.
Well, the thing about Mercer, which was interesting, was I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, he was the 6th pick in the NBA draft. And the year the Celtics tanked to try to get Tim Duncan, they did not. They ended up with the 3 and the 6. They took Billups and Mercer, and they didn't get the rebuild they wanted.
Right. They got the 1997 draft. It was Tim Duncan,
Van Horn.
Tim Duncan, Van Horn. Oh yeah, see if you can guess it. Who's next?
Then it was Billups.
Then
Antonio Daniels.
Yep.
Tony Battie.
Yep.
I guess Ron Mercer.
Right. And then your boys.
At 7, Carey.
Nope.
Wait, which year?
97. He's both of our boys, actually.
Tim Thomas, Ducks. He was dealt.
Tim Thomas.
He was dealt for Van Horn at the 7-2. I should. That was a bad job.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go from there. That'd be tough.
Then you have the legendary O'Donnell Foyle for the Warriors.
Yeah.
And then number 9, Toronto Raptors took T-Mac.
Wow. Yeah, he was good.
Can you imagine if the Nets took T-Mac? Oh, jeez.
Well, that's all of this stuff, rewriting history.
I know. And then they would have had Vince. No, I'm just kidding. No, because they played together for a couple of years. That doesn't make any sense. But, it's just.
I like your tweet, by the way, of Marbury and Van Horn, the greatest tri-state duo ever. It's funny.
Nets and Knicks, they were just, for some reason, that's just weird how players like that, they just randomly are on the same team. Like Rose and Taj, now the 3rd time they're on a team together with the Wolves and the Bulls and now the Knicks.
I think there's a connection.
There's a connection there, but with Van Horn and Marbury, that was just total randomness.
Luck.
Yeah, so it's kind of
man. Cool. I'm glad I got Shandon Anderson. That's gonna make my night more than the Nets win and the Knicks loss.
Life with a newborn baby, right? In COVID. Shandon Anderson, bro.
I might reach out to Shandon. Have him come on the pod.
Yeah, go ahead. Before I say he's horrible, Nick.
All right, let's get to the poll question.
Okay, the poll question now. All right, so Knicks fans, since Mitch is hurt, would you sign or trade for a big man? And then I put in parentheses. Assume the big man trade is like the Rose trade, a young player not playing and or a second or something along those lines. Nothing crazy. Yes or no?
I literally was getting a water, didn't hear a thing you said. Total bad job by me. Please repeat the question. I suck. But I'm so thirsty from dinner.
What do you think the answer is without knowing the question?
What do I think the question is? It's just yes or no?
Yeah.
Knowing Knicks fans, it's no.
You are right. So Knicks fans, since Mitch is hurt, would you sign or trade for a big man? Assume the big man trade is like the Rose trade, a young player not playing and or a second or something along those lines. Nothing crazy. So it was, well, guess how much it was no.
66-34.
51.7 no.
Oh, very good.
Really close.
Yeah.
Which is cool because I think it shows like Knicks fans are excited and they're ready for this season. And there's a good amount of people voted on this one too. It's just people are just ready. They're like, let's break this streak. Let's break this drought. Let's get this done. Get in the playoffs. Let's get that 6th seed. Not get in the play-in tournament. Let's just get in and just chill and like let's do it because it's attainable. I mean, with the Celtics and the Heat down bad early. I know the Celtics are going to be fine, but like they're in the mix.
You don't know that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the Celtics will be fine. The Heat, I think, there's a lot of fatigue there, like we're talking about. I mean, they're obviously going to make it in the top 10 teams, but as far as getting to that 6, I don't know if they'll get there. But so it's just exciting that the Knicks are relevant and they're playing well. And I just wish we weren't, ruining some games with these weird rotations or just things like that. And I mean, he's doing such a great job, Thibs, overall, but this is it's kind of hurting. But anyway, so we have some fan shout outs, some sham shout outs.
Let's hear it.
But we have Aaron Jacobs. He's at Aaron messed up _. Of course, you have to put the underscore. My man, no, he's good. He's a good dude. He goes, Noel isn't playing that bad, but an upgrade would be nice. He's definitely the big you want coming off the bench. I saw the idea of trading for Drummond, and I think it would cost the Knicks too much to get him. Yeah, Drummond is an interesting thing because it's just he's that chip that all the contenders are waiting for the buyout.
Why would you want Drummond as in an expiring contract? But why would you? I guess my question is, why would you give up assets for Drummond if it means okay, we're going to be if you think Mitchell's your center of the future, so you can compete as a playoff team? I don't get it.
Let me put it this way: the way it would work because using the trade machine, the ESPN trade machine, it's Rivers, Ntilikina, and Knox can work for Drummond because the Knicks have a ton of cap space. But those 3 can work for Drummond. You do it?
I like it for both teams.
Yeah, because then the Cavs get a bunch of young guys and they can piece them together. And
the Knicks get a center who can rebound, play some defense, fill in for Mitchell. It makes sense. And then the Cavs are just like, we'll take a chance. Do any of these guys hit? They're not playing for the Knicks anyway. Yeah, that I'm down for. I like.
And Rivers, they probably buy out when they get them, and they'll be like, "All right, buy Rivers," and then just like, that's it.
It's crazy. Rivers nothing. Knicks are a weird team, man.
Yeah, no, that's strange. Rivers is like the man early on. Imagine early in the season if they had fans, and he has that game where he's like a million
25 in the first.
Yeah, the crowd, the people would have been bouncing off the walls. My favorite thing before I read some more shout outs. My favorite thing with announcers say where there's a big run and for 3 and it's no good. And man, if that went in, the roof would have came off the arena.
Right.
Like, I want to know when that happens. Like when the 3 goes in, I just want to know, and the roof is off the arena. It's never, it's always like that.
The crowd would have gone crazy with that one. Oh yeah, I know that's so true. That's where you jump off the couch and go,
fuck.
Yeah, it's one of those moments.
Yeah, one of those. Like, it was this close.
Yeah, it's funny.
Okay, so we have Ivan. He's at Ivan ZXIE. He goes, I admit I don't know the intricacies behind it, but I'd rather just call up Scal from the Westchester Knicks. Who is Scal? Is he a big man on the Westchester Knicks? I'm not looking up the roster, that's for sure. Noel and Taj hasn't been that bad. Just need a third big to stoke up a few minutes and fouls. Mitch will be back soon, and the All-Star break helps. That's true. But that's a good point. But speaking of Westchester, Iggy, man, Brzdakis, their second round pick last year, he is crushing the G League again. Like he's dropping 30 and 10 like every. It's just, I know it's the G League, but if you're crushing the G League, just get them on the roster. I mean, like
why aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's some kind of service time thing. Like if you're in a G League team, you have to be there for a certain amount of time before you come. I mean, he probably has one of those flex contracts, so he's probably not like the other guys that are down there. But excuse me, but I just feel he's like I've said this on Twitter too, that he's like a quadruple A player, like in baseball, where you have that triple A player that crushes the minor leagues, but when he gets to the majors, he's like he stinks, but like then he goes back down and he crushes it. You call him back up, and then he stinks, and then you keep going. And it's just like, all right, dude, let's just get rid of this guy and get some single A guy in here, to trade him for somebody. But so he might be that kind of guy, but he's still so young, and he was decent in college, and he's a wing who can play. I mean, he can handle the ball. I mean, like give him a chance. I mean, we got Reggie Bullock out there. I mean, he can't be much worse.
Games, Reggie.
Yeah, and he could shoot. He's a good player, but I'm just saying, like, just guys like that are just taking up space. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying to replace Bullock with him, but I
know what you
exactly. But I'm just saying you have guys like that or Austin Rivers taking up roster spots, and it's just like they're not even playing. Like, let's get this guy out here. I know he's playing down in the G League, et cetera, et cetera. Just a weird situation. So then we have one last one. We have Peter Cohan. He's at Peter Cohen. He's Cohan, it's like Cohen with a K. He goes, I voted yes because if we're shooting for playoffs, then we have to have contingency Mitch's recovery. We have to have a contingency. Mitch's recovery might not be as quick as the best case scenario. 1, you have a tight bunched Eastern Conference playoff race. Got to make it first. 2, don't get caught shorthanded in the playoffs. See Jeremy Lin. See Lin, Jeremy. So there's always got to be Jeremy Lin mentioned on every podcast. I'm sure that's the second time I think you mentioned it. So
I brought him up the first time.
Yeah, unfortunately, we always have to mention Jeremy Lin.
I also have to say, I was getting annoyed by your capitalization on Twitter, and then I had a moment where I saw NetFan say something. It wasn't capitalized, but I was like, it's kind of stupid, and that's stupid. That's not the right word. But I just was like, you know what? I have to understand. You're excited, you're happy. I can't get upset at your tweets.
Right.
So I kind of got into it. I was like, yeah, I like Alex's tweets.
Thank you. Yeah,
sorry about that.
Thanks.
My bad.
It's just, the capitalization is just for fun. I'm just having fun on Twitter. People just don't take it too seriously.
I just hate the Knicks. So just annoyed. It's just annoying.
Yeah, everything about the Knicks you just hate. I know, but it doesn't get in the way of you assessing them as a team, though. I gotta say that from
I'll be honest.
Now,
I just want them to lose. Like, but it's the same thing. Like, I don't. Mm-hmm. I think people get annoyed by that, but I'm trying to give a distinction. Like if I said, "Oh, you're a Yankee fan, you want the Red Sox to lose," you would understand that, right?
Right.
What's the difference? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like if we had a Yankees Red Sox podcast, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, the Red Sox won. I'm happy." No, I'd be pissed.
Right.
Why can't people get that?
No, I don't know.
And then it's not personal. It's the team I hate.
Right. And the worst thing is like if I'm talking like the Jets are the worst team, ever this year, right? One of the worst teams of all time. And so it's just like if like let's say I start being like, oh my God, I can't believe the Chiefs did this on 4th down in this game. And then somebody goes, well, what do you know? You're a Jets fan. I'm like, what the fuck does that have like
that's
kind
fair.
Of immature?
You're a Jets fan, Alex.
But what kind of immature answer is that? How does like the team that stinks?
No, it doesn't.
Like it's just like, why can't I have an opinion? Oh, because my team stinks. I just need to shut up and never talk about sports. Just never talk. Never have
a better opinion because if you're, I'll say this: if you're a diehard fan of a team that sucks and you're watching all those games, imagine what it's like when the team's good.
Yeah,
and how much fun it would be. Imagine that.
No, I know.
Just think about that.
Not championship, but I've seen them be good.
They've gotten close.
Yeah, they have. And they're a couple of years, from like 98 through 2010, 11, they were pretty good. I mean, they were good. They weren't the worst team ever. They were the playoffs every 2-3 years and a couple times here and there consecutively.
Just the Patriots and Steelers
championship games. Yeah. But it's just it's now they're just abysmal. 10 years of garbage and whatever. I don't want to get into the Jets. It's just going to depress everybody.
10 years of
but now it's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to draft another quarterback and wait 3 years and be like, well, this could be the guy. Let's give him time and let's wait another 3 years and then we'll do it again. Just trade for Watson and let's get this fucking going. Let's stop waiting with this crap.
Put Derrick Rose in the deal.
Right, exactly. Let's trade Dennis Smith Jr. again to
he's
do
good.
Something. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let me stop. So is that the podcast? I think that's
the
it.
podcast.
No more shout
Everything
outs.
else good?
No. How are the Long Island Nets doing? We talked about the Westchester
I don't
Knicks.
know.
Have you
I have no idea. I
Who
gotta be
cares,
honest.
right?
No
You got
clue.
Harden, Kyrie, and Durant. What the hell do you care about the Long Island?
I don't care. I just want
You
to
know,
keep
I wanted
winning.
to get. I wish the Knicks had their team in Long Island because I'm from Long Island, and I went to a Knicks Nets game a couple of years ago right when they got them, and they were selling those those basketball practice shirts where it says Long Island basketball.
Wait, you went to a Long Island game?
No, I went to a Knicks Nets game and they were selling Long Island Nets jerseys. And I'm like, oh, I want to get that because it says Long Island basketball, and that's like a thing for me.
Can't
and I grew up 15 minutes from Nassau Coliseum. I can't do it. I can't do it. I was like, oh man, I should do that. But then I was like,
no, can't do it.
I went to that game where Porzingis blocked that shot and he caught it. I think we talked about this once before, where he instead of blocking, he just caught it in the air.
God, that guy is so talented, Alex.
I know, he's so crazy.
Freak athlete.
Well, that was before both knee injuries.
He's going to come back strong. Yeah. He's a great second fiddle.
Yeah, sure.
I won't. All right. This has been the Bad Weather Fans podcast, Shannon Anderson, episode number 49.
Right. Our boy.
Mike and Alex with you. Again, listen on Apple, subscribe, download, do the whole thing. It's greatly appreciated. Should also mention as well, you can check out this podcast if you're listening. If you're a visual person, head on over to the Bad Weather Fans on YouTube. You can find our mugs on there. Watch the video. Our last episode number 48, was with Net fan Dolan J. Trump.
Knicks fan Dolan J. Trump. Ex-Nets fan.
Ex-Net fan. And
Knicks president.
Get in my DMs, Dolan. I'm waiting for you. You DM and text me after every fucking Knicks win. Now the Nets win a few games. Crickets, I can't find you. Consistency. Be consistent, because there will be net. Let me say this. There will be bad net losses. There will be net playoff losses, and I will hear from you. But be consistent, okay? That's all I ask.
I'm just
consistency
hoping,
from the leader.
Man, I am praying for this Knicks Nets first round matchup with fans. Let's say it's like a 6-3 matchup. You know what I mean? Just give me any or even a 7-2, just something. I just want that so badly with fans, and it'd be not because it'd be great for the podcast, but because it just would be fun. And because the Knicks the Knicks would not be favored, they would be favored to be swept, and that's fine. But just do that, and let's make one of the games close, the first one close, and win a game, steal one, and then just put the fear into you guys, and all right, whatever, enjoy, whatever. But
I don't want any part of it.
But imagine the Knicks get in the playoffs and they get that weird bracket where it's the easy bracket, and then they were able to win a round, and then now the Knicks all of a sudden in the second round of the playoffs. You know what I mean? There's years like that where there's that weird round where it's just
if the Nets lose in the first round, it would be an utter disaster.
Oh God, yeah, that would be horrible. But they'll come back next year and they'll win 70 games. So
they will be back next year. So we're not playing the hypothetical game to stress me out at midnight. But the Nets playing the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs, and RJ Barrett's knocking down corner threes.
Obi Toppin grows up and becomes the freaking star. And
they can't stop him inside. We're gelling around. All right. Anyway, Bad Weather Fans. You can find it on video. You can find it on podcast. Thank you guys. We love doing it. It's fun doing it. Nets Mavs Saturday. So Alex becomes a Nets fan, which will be kind of cool. But that's for another time. All right, Alex, good shit, good stuff as always. Thank you, and I will talk to you later, homie.
All right, have a good night.